So we have Sora War coming on in. A little bit of a later game account. Wants to know how to increase the Atom gains so we can finally level up Call Me Bob. Because we all know how expensive Call Me Bob is. So let's take a look. We have Sora War with 352 Siegebreaker. We have Kari War with 250 Blood Berserker. 415 Bubonic Conjurer. 280 Beastmaster, 390 Divine Knight, 349 Elemental Sorcerer, 284 V-Man, 332 Elemental Sorcerer, a 203 Blood Berserker, and a 348 Siegebreaker. By the way, rest in peace Beastmaster, one of the lowest levels. Absolutely love to see it. So far running out full Cheezor. Gonna eventually start getting into your Troll Armor. Well, right off the get-go, the biggest ones, if you want honestly to boost up even more, you're going to want to start farming Magma Armor. Now, Magma Armor gives all stat percent, which later game actually works even more than everything else. So, yeah, it'll start out, what happens is over time is that your all stat actually starts scaling past your other armor, other than your luster boots. Your luster boots, scaling boots will always be higher, but the other ones will start being better once you start hitting more magma. Obviously, Serrated Rex Rings are still the GOAT. You definitely want to have those when you're doing atoms. First of all, let's go ahead and take a look. What are your 3D prints currently? Okay, so you have a 2.118. Okay, 1.7. So you're running at a baseline of 10.9 million right now. So 10.9 oak logs, and your copper is an 8.04. So we got some serious love that needs to go. So first of all, let's take a look at alchemy. So right off the get-go, what I'm seeing is you do not have 300%. 300% multi-resource must be obtained. So, which is Wyoming Blood, Sploosh Sploosh, Multi-Logo, and Bug Squared. So you can kind of do the math on it. I believe it's, I'm not 100% sure, but it's within the average of 140. 140 average just by, on those bubbles, just to get 300%, because you also have to include the star signs as well. You could do the math with yourself, you know, like Dwarfo Beardus, Pisces, Shoe Fly, the bubbles, like the star signs that help give you a little bit multi, not to mention the talents also help as well. Your biggest ones you want to start focusing on as well is Hocus Chopus and Hardy Diggy. We're going to mostly be focusing on your atom gains for mostly oak logs and copper, because those are your two biggest ones that can get the highest, which will ultimately end up giving you the most atoms. So definitely Hocus Chopus and Hardy Diggy are the big priority. Same with Warrior's Rule and Mage's Best. Warrior's Rule, Mage's Best are some of the best bubbles you can get, because not only is it a multiplier, it's a multiplier for every single one of those skilling bubbles. So right now it's about 2.4. You want to get that to about 2.7. That'll just be massive for you. And Hocus Chopus, you know, you're gonna want to get these super. In my Discord, Sora, there is in the Idle Index in the World 2 tab, there is a spreadsheet that will show you all the bubbles levels that you need to hit a certain percentage for your capacity of bubble. So for instance, if you want 80% of the bubble's potency, I believe it's around 300. Level 320, somewhere around there, in order to get 80% capacity for Hocus Chopus and Hardy Diggy. I believe it's about 240 for about Mage's Best and Warrior's Rule, somewhere around there. So you can go take a look at that, see if you can get that all run down, and that should help you out. Another big ones to work on, Tree Sleeper, absolutely huge. Dream of Ironfish, these are also super massive bubbles. So Tree Sleeper, Dream of Ironfish, and then also your next big multipliers, which is Multi-Orange and Severe Purple. Multi-Orange and Severe Purple, which are also another multipliers. Shimmeron is also really nice for specifically golden food at the most. So what I would suggest, since you're here right now, if you just focus on Wyoming Blood, Warrior's Rule, Hardy Diggy, and then start working on strong tools, This will give you huge increase. Not to mention LeBrain tools as well. Since you don't have a lot of atoms to spend at this point in time, those bubbles alone will help you get huge amount of atoms. Like you could easily turn your 10 mil into literally like 40 to 50 mil with just leveling up these bubbles. I would stay away from Call Me Bob just a little bit longer, just because the atom cost will start getting crazily expensive. Because right now it costs you 222 atoms, and that already feels like a lot to you. Just wait until it starts costing you way more, because it will get to a point where I believe the max cost for it, I believe, is, if I check here, it's 1.85K. 1.85K to level this up. So definitely want to level up your prints before you start going hands down on Call Me Bob. Things that help with sigils, such as, the Spanish Sahara, will definitely help this up. So definitely start farming that vial out. Just get a little bit more chopping efficiency. There's also Void Vial as well, but you already have that at level 12. Another thing you need to check is Royal Sampler. If you have not gotten it, I would suggest to get it. Work towards 90%. 90% printer sample. You can check that out, and you could check that out in your construction tab, your skill info. Go ahead and take a look, and you'll see what your when you go do your printer samples, you can see if you're 90% or not. And also with mining and chopping, unfortunately, if you want to maximize the amount of your prints, you're gonna have to learn how to do an HP snap and an MP snap. Maybe one of these days I'll make a video of how to do an HP and MP snap. But until that point, we're kind of that's a little too sweaty for my liking at the moment. But definitely upgrade your tools, especially for the ones, I mean, you see that you're working on Luster tools, which is good. You're going to eventually want to get to Dreadleo. You have Dreadleo there, fantastic. You have Starfire. So, I mean, your tools are looking pretty good for right now. Definitely not too bad. We want to take a look at dungeons. Biggest one we want to look at is you got all dungeons max. Perfect. How's your post office? Make sure you got all the proper boxes. Mining, perfect. This is the wrong guy. 400, 400, 400, perfect. Okay, so you at least got the ones that you need to get, so that's good. That's perfect. You'll love to see that. Okay, great. Now, the biggest one, huge one, is cooking. Cooking is so massive. We'll get to talents in a sec. But definitely cooking is where the next big one is where your skill efficiency, such as corn, rice balls, and whipped cocoa. Those are three main ones for cooking that are going to be super huge for you. For instance, you could level this up. It only requires you to use one ladle in order to level that up to the next level. So you might as well throw 100 ladles into that boy. Get like 4 to 5 levels on that. Easy peasy, no problem. Same if we go down to whipped cocoa. What is whipped cocoa at? We're looking at time to 30. I mean, that takes only 3 ladles. So you got some easy skill efficiency right there. You could definitely throw 100 ladles into that. Bing, bang, beazle. Another 3 levels there. We take a look and we look for rice ball. Rice ball shouldn't be that much higher. Well, that one's actually pretty expensive, so I won't necessarily you can't really do that one just yet. But I mean, you got the whipped cocoa and the corn pretty easily to get up there. So that's some extra free efficiency. Now let's take a look at the big ones, which is what I'm currently working on, is getting my talents. Now, what is your max talent level? That's the real question. I'm taking a guess. 185. Okay, so I'm just going to list off the ones that have a super huge impact for skilling that I want you to max out as soon as possible. First one, the first tab, the efficiency one. The efficiency one is so big. You get this up to like 245, 269. We're talking about like 1,000% efficiency increase. So you want to book that as high as you can as soon as possible. Same with this one. You want to get this one huge up as well. Super. Logs on logs. Also very big. You also want to get Leaf Thief up there. And also Deforesting All Doubt. Also huge. Big ones also. Untwisted Robes. Mana Overdrive. Super big. And the next one's Occult Obols is okay, but it's nothing huge. Staring Statues. Also a good one. It affects Lumberbob. Wiz Wumbo, max talents, also very big. And then finally, utmost intellect, Family Guy, symbols, all of those need to be booked. All of a sudden, you're going to see skyrockets worth an increase. Toilet paper postage stamp is okay, but it's not great. Obviously, your other tab is going to have Super Source and Action Frenzy already done, so that's great to hear. And for the Warrior tab, same thing, Brute Efficiency, and then you definitely want to do Idle Skilling as well. And then you want to do Strength in Numbers, Big Pick, massive increase. Copper Collector, huge increase. If you can't hit 300%, Motherlode Miner is just as fine. Tool Proficiency is also huge. Hungry for Gold is massive for your golden peanuts. Not only that, helps out with your fishing with golden ribs. Also a super big one. Firmly Grasp It, Health Overdrive, very important as well. Stress Twisted Garbs, you want that ASAP. Fistful of Obols, Stronger Statues, Strength some more. All of these are helping. Mining, Ocean Man, you got it. And then Overblown Testosterone, massive. Skill Strengthen, Family Guy, Symbols Beyond, also super huge. And then same as before with Star Talents. The only difference is I would put more points into Ubercharge Health because that overall just gives you more health on the way to go. So that's kind of what the talents you're looking at the moment. And when you set up your 3D printer, ideally what you want is you want your archers to run flies. You want all your warriors to run at least one copper ore, and two, like your squires should be running full mining resources. Your barbarians should be running fishing prints with at least one copper ore print, so that you can always swap onto them. And then your Beastmaster is going to be run refinery prints, and your V-Man is going to be running any prints that you need to help with vials, or any prints that you need to get specific bubbles on. So like, for instance, V-Man, if you do it in a speedrun setting, because we all know how juiced out the Void Trial rerun speedrun is, taking prints while you're in there is going to be ideal for pushing any sort of monster mats. So definitely take your time, get that done. Get some prints going. And obviously, you can help make this better by finishing off, at least tab 1 of your Death Note to start getting your Gmush kills going. Have that happening, because I see you already have 139 mil. But what you could also do is get the rest of them, so you get more multi-kill per tier, which ultimately equals out for you to end up getting more mob prints in general. Now, it's your Atom Collider here. You got Helium at level 2. Now, what I would suggest over any of this, before you continue leveling up your bubbles, get higher boron. You want more boron. You only have that at level 1. You want to get that way, way, way higher. Boron is very, very important. And if you can manage to pull it out, you want 1 in oxygen to increase your books of your talent levels by 10. This is very important. Getting that plus 10 for that 1 level for 3.24k is super, super worth it. So I definitely strongly suggest. And also, if we take a look into sailing, another huge artifact to get is Frost Relic. Frost Relic is one of the biggest juicers when it comes up to sailing, because it not only gives you 30% efficiency for all worlds of World 1, World 2, and 3, which is chopping and mining, which is the most important ones. If you Ancient it, 60%, Eldritch is 90%. Although you don't have Eldritch, you definitely want to have Ancient for. So at least if you get an Ancient bonus, that will actually just give you an extra 30% right off the get-go. So with all those efficiency things that I've listed, all those talents that I've listed as well, that will ultimately help you get the utmost that you can. And if you haven't, what I would strongly suggest you to do, let's take a quick look here. You're going to hate me for saying this. You're going to hate me to say this. Farm out Idle Skilling. You need the Idle Skiller trophy. Idle Skiller trophy is best trophy that you could possibly get for your 3D prints. Not only that, you also get the funny hat, which is one of the best in slot hats for skill efficiency. So it's definitely something that you want to get as soon as possible. And if you could take some time every day, use an alchemy shop, go into the big obols and use some of your liquid in your obol stacks to hope to get mining obols and chopping obols. There are 2 most important obols, and those are the only way that you can get those obols unless you want to whale. If you want to whale, you can go to the gem shop and buy the stacks, but I would suggest it. Just spend it on the alchemy shop and get that going. So just to go over, you want to start working towards magma armor to get all stat. You could do that with troll as well. You want a 300% multi-resource obtained. You know, that's with all of them. 140 average bubble, which I think is for the multi-resource. You want to focus on Hocus Chopus, Hardy Diggy, Warrior's Rule, Mage's Best, Multi-Orange Saphira Purple, Shimmeron, Lee Strong Tools, Labrain Tools, Tree Sleeper, and Iron Fish, only if you can get to it. But I mean, the real ones you want to focus on is Hocus Choppy, Hardy Diggy, Shimmeron, Strong Tools, Labrain Tools. They'll easily boost you up, especially with the resource bubbles. Those boost you up from your 10 mil to at least 50 mil easily. And then definitely get your 90% printer sample if you don't already have it. And start working on your 3. You want to work on Frost Relic. Get that to Ancient as soon as possible. And at the same time, you want to work on Rice Ball, Corn, and also you want to work on Whipped Cocoa. And farm out. You also want to farm out some golden peanuts and learn how to MP and HP snap. HP snap isn't as important, but an MP snap isn't as important, but an HP snap is very important. It's about give or take about 11% to 20% difference depending on how much extra HP you get. I might make a video on how to do it, but until that time, this is what I want you to work on. And obviously the cards that you have to do. I would say you could go with statue farming as well. Yes, I would suggest that actually. Also on top of that, you want to use your DK, board beans, farm statues. Farm statues for a well. And then once you get that statues, I would say you want to get to approximately, you're currently at 106. I would say at least bring this up to 160 if you can. Level 160 on the mining one, 160 on the chopping one. That'll also bring your beholder statues up. And then also once you start getting big books with your B-Man, that you get statue voodooification or voodoo statuification, which will ultimately boost your statues even more. So now you have 2 talents that boost your statues. Next thing you know, you're gonna have a crazy amount of mining and chopping power. And you should guarantee you, if you do all of that, I promise you, you'll take your 10 mil to easily 50 mil plus prints on those specific ones. So good luck with that. Best of luck to you. And you should be able to, Adam, call me Bob in no time.